Hello, this time we are going to talk about testing, which is Unit 13 in our textbook and Unit 11 in EVA. Well, let's begin. As an introduction, first thing we need to know is the difference between testing, which is a general term, evaluation and assessment. Let's see what the difference is, okay? A test or quiz examines the knowledge to determine what the person tested knows or has learned. Testing measures the level of skill or knowledge reached, whereas evaluation is a process through which we can make judgments, but based always on specific criteria and evidence. Like we can evaluate the whole process. And assessment, what is that? It means documenting knowledge, but it is also a process of documenting knowledge, skills, attitudes, and beliefs, usually in measurable terms. And for that, we can use grading systems. In an educational context, assessment is the process of describing, collecting, recording, scoring, and interpreting information about learning. We use grades for that. Okay, now we are going to analyze the reasons why we test the students. Testing is very usual and a common universal feature. Most of the time we are examining and testing people and facts, and other times people examine us. In our case, students want or need to be tested on their ability in the English language, and this need appears usually at the beginning, and the kind of tests we use for that are called placement tests. During the process, the kind of tests are called progress tests, and at the end of the period, they are called achievement tests. Through placement tests, we can measure or find out what students know, what their interests are, and also what they do not know, and how we teachers can lead the process, therefore. Progress tests. Placement tests are usually taken at the beginning of the process. Progress tests can be taken at a specific period. It could be every term, at the end of a specific period of time. And they have the purpose of seeing how much students have learned from the lessons. On the other hand, achievement tests are taken usually at the end of the process because the purpose of those is to show the result obtained at the end of the term and to see how well students have learned everything. Usually they measure all 4 skills as well as grammar and vocabulary. There are also public examinations given by universities well known, such as Cambridge in the United Kingdom and Michigan in the United States, that offer proficiency tests as TOEFL that show or which aim to measure the level a student has reached, and they measure the student's language abilities in a general way. Now, talking about continuous assessment, or as we call it in our university, permanent assessment, it takes place throughout the process and it is measured as it is happening. There can be evidence of that continuous assessment, which is the portfolio, and in which students can collect all the work they have done. Now, let's talk about the characteristics of effective tests. 3 are the most common ones. It should give a positive effect not only on students, but as well on the teachers. Tests should be valid in the sense that they do what they say it will. They measure what they say it will. tests should have a marking reliability or grading reliability in the sense that if there is rubric, anyone can grade it and the results should come out the same, no matter who grades it. Types of tests. Discrete items are the ones that test one thing at a time, like one aspect of grammar at a time. Integrative testing, on the other hand, asks students to use a variety of language and skills to complete a task, and what they do is to measure the language itself, the use of the language. Direct items, they ask students to do something specific with the language, which is the use of the language. As when we ask them to write a letter, report, when we activate writing. Indirect items test the students' knowledge of the language more than using the language. Like when we try to grade how much they know about grammar collocations, for instance. Here we have some examples of indirect tests items. The ones that grade the parts of the language, not the use. How much students know about the language. Multiple choice, for example, in which there is a stem, proposition or question stated at the beginning, and some alternative answers. One is the correct one, the others are called distractors, and the purpose for them is to find the right answer. Gap filling, in some spaces, students are asked to fill out the spaces, the empty spaces, with sometimes information that the teacher gives, other times just with the knowledge they have, like in the example we have here. Closed items, in this case, are the ones that in which, like in a paragraph, some words counted like in some specific intervals, like after every 6, for example, words are taken off. Otherwise, or other kind of close examples are the ones in which the teacher on purpose takes off just specific parts of the speech, such as adjectives or nouns or verbs. Those are omitted with the purpose of the students to filling out the blanks with the correct word according to the function. Transformation, finally. In this case, a sentence is given and also a keyword, and the idea is that the students will be able to rewrite the same sentence, not changing the sense of the previous one, but adding the given word. Here we have some examples on how to mark tests or grade them. Like in case we have speaking exercises or writing exercises. And to be more objective, we can use a marking scale or a rubric. Here is the example of a grading sheet for oral presentations. And here we have a rubric to assess writing. Now, before we design a test, we should take into consideration the following aspects. First of all, how long will it take to the students to develop the evaluation, the test, and also us to grade it? We do not always consider the time grading can take us, but I think it is really important if we want to give good feedback to our students. Yeah, okay, we also need to remember if what we're going to ask will measure the competence that we have aimed to enhance. And if it is actually covering all the aspects that we have learned in the learning and teaching process. Okay, does it allow all students to show us what they know and can do? Is it considering all the skills and general aspects that we want to test, as I have told you? Are all items clear and properly stated in order to be understood by all students? Which means that they are not ambiguous. Are the instructions clearly stated? And finally, as the textbook recommends us, it is advisable for teachers to show their tests to colleagues as well as to try them out before using them with other students, in fact. So with this, we finish the unit related to testing. Any questions, please do not forget that you can contact your teachers and your tutors. Thank you.